My wife and I went to see an apartment being sold by a foreign owner. I stayed quiet, pretending I didn't understand German. Then I heard one sentence that made my blood run cold. I couldn't believe what they'd just said. The words came through so clearly I thought I'd misheard them. Versteht nichts. Ist nicht besonders klug. He doesn't understand anything. He's not very smart. My wife was talking about me to a stranger in German, 3 feet away from where I stood looking out floor-to-ceiling windows at downtown Seattle. I kept my face completely neutral, kept staring at the Space Needle in the distance like I was admiring the view, but my stomach had just dropped through the floor. We were viewing an apartment, a sleek 2-bedroom loft in a renovated warehouse building, exposed brick, polished concrete floors, the kind of place that screams, "We've made it." The owner was a German man named Klaus Werner, late 40s. Expensive watch, soft handshake, the kind of European sophistication my wife Megan always found impressive. She'd been pushing for this apartment for weeks. "It's perfect for us, babe. Trust me. The investment potential alone is incredible." What Megan didn't know, what she'd never bothered to ask in our 8 years of marriage, was that my grandmother was from Munich, that I'd spent every summer from age 8 to 16 in Bavaria, that my German was rusty as hell but still functional enough to understand every single word she was saying. Klaus continued the tour, gesturing to the kitchen. "Diese Küche wurde letztes Jahr komplett renoviert," he said. "This kitchen was completely renovated last year." Megan nodded enthusiastically, smiled at him in a way that made my jaw tighten. Their shoulders brushed as they walked. She laughed at something that wasn't funny. Then Klaus looked at me, still standing by the window, and asked her in German, "Ist immer so still? Is he always this quiet?" Megan glanced back at me, smiled, turned back to Klaus and said in perfect German, Versteht nichts. Ist nicht besonders klug. He doesn't understand anything. He's not very smart." Klaus chuckled, a knowing, conspiratorial laugh. "Und das Geld? And the money?" My hands were shaking. I shoved them in my pockets. "Alles auf meinem Namen," Megan said. "Everything's in my name. Unterschreibt, was ich ihm sage. Vertraut mir vollständig. He signs what I tell him. He trusts me completely." I turned slightly, looked at them both, smiled like I was just happy to be there, like I hadn't understood a word. Klaus nodded slowly. "Clever." Hat keine Ahnung," she said. "He has no idea. Ich hab seit Monaten Geld verschoben. Diese Wohnung wird nur auf meinen Namen sein. Es ist perfekt. I've been moving money for months. This apartment will only be in my name. It's perfect." "Fühlen Sie sich nicht schlecht?" Klaus asked. "Don't you feel bad?" Megan paused, then laughed. A light, casual laugh I'd heard 1,000 times. "Warum sollte ich? Why should I?" I walked over to them, put my arm around Megan's waist, felt her lean into me. "This place is amazing," I said in English. "What do you think, babe?" "I love it," she said, kissing my cheek. "I think this is the one." Klaus extended his hand to me. I shook it. Firm grip this time. "I think you two will be very happy here," he said in English. His accent was thick but clear. "Your wife has excellent taste." "She does," I said, looked right at her. "I trust her completely." We left 20 minutes later, walked to the car in silence. Megan was texting someone, probably Klaus, finalizing details I wasn't supposed to understand. When we got in, she reached over and squeezed my hand. "I really think this is perfect for us," she said. "A fresh start, new chapter." "Yeah," I said, starting the engine. "I think so too." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to her in the dark, listening to her breathing, replaying every word. Not very smart. Signs what I tell him. Everything in my name. I've been moving money for months. 8 years. We'd been married 8 years. Together for 10. Met at a friend's wedding. She was a pharmaceutical sales rep. I was an aerospace engineer at Boeing. She made good money. I made great money. We'd always been comfortable. Never fought about finances. Had a joint checking account, joint savings. Both our names on the mortgage for our house in Bellevue. Or so I thought. At 3:47 a.m., I got up, went to my office, opened my laptop, started going through our bank statements. The joint checking looked normal. Paychecks in, bills out, nothing unusual. The joint savings had about $40,000, also normal. But when I looked at the transaction history more carefully, I saw something strange. Regular transfers out. 5,000 here, 8,000 there, 10,000. Always to an account ending in 7,392. I didn't recognize that account. I tried logging into our investment accounts. The password had been changed. I tried the password reset. It sent a code to an email address I didn't recognize, some Gmail account that wasn't mine or Megan's usual email. My hands started shaking again. I spent the rest of the night searching. Credit cards I didn't know we had. Bank statements with addresses I didn't recognize. By the time the sun came up, I'd found traces of at least 4 accounts I'd never seen before. All opened in the last 18 months. All in Megan's name only. When Megan woke up at 7:15, I was already showered and dressed, making coffee like everything was normal. "Morning, babe," she said, kissing my cheek. "You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Excited about the apartment." She smiled. "Me too. I'm meeting with Klaus this afternoon to discuss the offer. Want to come?" "Can't. Big meeting at work, but you handle it. You're better at this stuff anyway." "You sure?" "Absolutely. I trust you." Those words tasted like ash in my mouth. mouth. I'd been married to Megan for 8 years, and I couldn't pinpoint exactly when things had changed. We'd had a good relationship, or so I thought. We went on date nights, took vacations, had sex regularly, not as often as the beginning, but that was normal, right? Everyone said marriage took work, that the spark fades, that you have to choose each other every day. I'd been choosing her every day. Apparently, she'd been choosing herself. Looking back now, there were signs. I just hadn't wanted to see them. About 2 years ago, Megan had started traveling more for work, regional conferences, training seminars, sometimes gone 3 or 4 days at a time. She'd come home exhausted, complaining about boring presentations and hotel food. I'd believed her because why wouldn't I? Around the same time, she'd started dressing differently, better, more expensive clothes. When I asked about it, she said her company had raised their dress code standards. Made sense. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, appearances mattered. She'd also started going to the gym more, hired a personal trainer, got her hair done every 6 weeks instead of every 3 months. I'd complimented her, told her she looked great, never suspected a thing. About a year ago, she'd suggested we simplify our finances, said it was silly for us both to be managing different accounts, said she'd taken a financial planning course through work and wanted to optimize our investments. I'd thought it was great. Megan handling the money meant I had more time for my projects. I'd signed whatever she'd put in front of me. Power of attorney forms, account authorization forms, investment restructuring paperwork, she'd called it. I'd trusted her completely. 6 months ago, she'd started talking about buying an investment property, said real estate was the smart move, that we should diversify. I'd agreed, told her to find something good. Never looked at the actual paperwork. 3 months ago, she'd come home excited about meeting Klaus at an industry mixer, said he was selling his apartment because he was moving back to Berlin, said it was an incredible opportunity, under market value, perfect timing. I'd said great, whatever she thought was best. I was an engineer. I believed in data, in systems, in logic. I designed components for commercial aircraft. My work had to be precise, methodical, error-free. But in my personal life, I'd been flying blind. At 9 a.m., I called in sick to work. Then I Googled divorce attorney Seattle and started making calls. The third attorney I spoke to was a woman named Patricia Eng, 47 years old, partner at Eng and Associates, specialized in high-asset divorces. She had a calm, no-nonsense voice that made me feel slightly less like I was drowning. "Tell me what's going on," she said. I told her everything. The apartment viewing, the German conversation, the accounts I'd discovered. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "First, I'm sorry you're going through this. Second, we need proof. Recordings, bank statements, anything documentary. Third, don't let her know you know. Not yet. The element of surprise is valuable. How do I get proof? Do you have access to any of the accounts?" "No." She changed all the passwords. "Do you have any financial statements? Old mail? Tax returns?" "Tax returns. Yeah, I signed them, but I didn't really review them closely. She always handled that. Get me copies. I'm also going to recommend you hire a forensic accountant, someone who can trace where your money went. My firm works with several. I'll send you names. How much is this going to cost?" "My retainer is $10,000. The forensic accountant will probably be another $8,000 to $15,000, depending on complexity. But if your wife has been systematically stealing from you and from what you're describing, that's what this is. We can pursue criminal charges in addition to divorce proceedings. You may recoup everything." I felt something shift in my chest, not quite relief, more like grim determination. "Let's do it." Patricia emailed me 3 names. I called the first one Marcus Chen, CPA, CFE, 23 years in forensic accounting, former FBI financial crimes investigator. His rate was $350 an hour. I hired him on the spot. "I need everything you can get me," I told him. "Bank records, credit card statements, property records, everything. I need to know exactly how much she took and where it went. I'll need your authorization to access accounts, tax returns, anything you have. You'll have it by end of day." The next 3 weeks were the hardest of my life. I went to work every day, came home every night, made dinner with Megan, watched TV, had conversations about nothing, made love twice. I felt sick afterward both times. She talked constantly about the apartment, about how the paperwork was moving forward, about how Klaus had agreed to her offer $780,000 for a place probably worth $850,000, about how this was such a smart investment for us. Every time she said us, I wanted to scream. I started recording our conversations, bought a small digital recorder, kept it in my pocket, documented everything, times, dates, what she said about the apartment, about our finances, about our future. Marcus worked fast. Within 2 weeks, he had a preliminary report. We met at his office in downtown Seattle, a glass tower with a view of Elliott Bay. He laid out printed documents across his conference table, bank statements, account opening forms, wire transfer records, property purchase agreements. "Okay," he said, "here's what I found. Your wife has opened 6 separate accounts over the past 18 months, 5 at different banks, 1 at a credit union, all in her name only." My stomach turned. "How much total?" "She's moved approximately $217,000 out of your joint accounts and into these separate accounts." The room tilted. halted. How? Small transfers over time, nothing large enough to trigger automatic alerts. 5,000 here, 8,000 there. She'd wait a few weeks between transfers. Very methodical, very calculated. He pulled out another document. She also opened 3 credit cards, in her name only. Combined limit of about 60,000. All maxed out. What did she buy? Based on the statements? Jewelry, designer clothes, several first-class plane tickets, hotel stays, restaurants. A lot of it looks like affair spending, honestly. I closed my eyes. An affair. The travel patterns suggest it. Multiple trips to Portland over the past year, always staying at the same hotel, the Heathman, usually checking in Friday, checking out Sunday. Credit card charges at expensive restaurants nearby. Portland, I repeated numbly. Klaus was based in Portland. He'd said so during the apartment tour. Marcus pulled out another stack. Now, the apartment. The purchase agreement is in her name only. She's financing it with a $600,000 mortgage, also in her name only. The down payment of $180,000 came from one of the accounts she'd been funneling money into. My money, your money. From what I can tell, you're not on any of the paperwork for this property. You'll have no legal claim to it. Can we stop the sale? The closing is scheduled for next Friday. Once that happens, it's done. But he slid another document toward me. I found something interesting. The tax returns you filed jointly for the past 2 years? She claimed deductions for business expenses that were actually personal expenses. Falsified charitable donations. That's tax fraud. Federal crime. I stared at the numbers, at my own signature, on the bottom of forms I'd signed without reading. What do I do? That's up to you and your attorney. But from a forensic standpoint, you have a clear paper trail of financial malfeasance. In a divorce proceeding, this would absolutely favor you. If you wanted to pursue criminal charges, you'd have grounds. And, he paused, do you still have that recording from the apartment viewing? Yeah, it's on my phone. That's direct evidence of intent to defraud. Combined with the documentary evidence, it's ironclad. I met with Patricia the next day, brought Marcus's report, brought the recording. She listened to the German conversation. She'd hired a certified translator to provide an official transcript. This is good, she said when we finished. This is very good. She's done herself no favors. What's the next step? We file. Immediately. I'll prepare divorce papers citing fraud and financial misconduct. We'll freeze all joint accounts. File for an emergency restraining order, preventing her from selling or transferring any assets. And we'll send a demand letter, requiring her to account for all funds. When? I can have everything ready by Friday. The closing is Friday. Patricia smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Perfect timing. But I didn't want perfect timing. I wanted something else. Something that had been building in my chest since that day in the apartment. I wanted her to face what she'd done, publicly, with witnesses. There's something else I want to do, I said. I told Patricia my idea. She was quiet for a long moment. That's not legally necessary, she said finally, and it could complicate things. I don't care. I need this. Okay, but let's be smart about it. We'll still file the paperwork Friday morning, freeze the accounts, stop the sale, then you do your thing. But Alex, she looked at me seriously. Once you do this, there's no going back. Your marriage is over, permanently. It was over the moment she called me stupid and started stealing my money. Fair enough. Megan's parents were celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary on Saturday night. Big party at a rented hall in Kirkland. The whole family would be there. Her 2 brothers, her sister, aunts, uncles, cousins, her 90-year-old grandmother, plus family, friends, neighbors, her parents' church group, probably 70 or 80 people total. Megan had been talking about it for months, had bought a new dress, had helped plan the menu, was giving a toast. I'd RSVP'd, yes, said I wouldn't miss it for the world. Friday morning, Patricia filed the divorce papers with King County Superior Court, filed the emergency motion to freeze assets, had a process server deliver everything to Megan at her office at 11 a.m. She called me at 11:17. I was in a meeting, a real one this time. I let it go to voicemail. She called 6 more times, left 4 voicemails, each one more frantic than the last. Alex, what the hell is this? Call me. This is insane. You can't just freeze our accounts. Call me back. The closing is supposed to be today. What are you doing? Call me. Fine. Don't call. I'm coming home. We're going to talk about this, like adults. I texted Patricia. She's freaking out. Patricia, good. Don't engage. Don't answer calls. Don't go home. Can you stay somewhere else tonight? Me. Already planned. Staying at my brother's. I'd told my younger brother Ryan everything 2 days ago. He'd been furious. Wanted to confront Megan himself. I'd made him promise to wait. I need you to trust me on this, I'd said. Tomorrow. It'll all be tomorrow. Friday evening, I got a text from Megan. We need to talk before tomorrow. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to my parents' party if we're fighting. I responded, we're not fighting. See you tomorrow. Looking forward to celebrating your parents. She didn't respond. Saturday afternoon, I got ready. Wore my good suit. The charcoal one Megan had picked out for me 3 years ago. Took my time with my hair. Splashed on cologne. Ryan drove me to the hall. You sure about this? He asked. Never been more sure of anything. The party started at 6 p.m. I arrived at 6:45. The hall was decorated beautifully. White tablecloths, flower centerpieces, a slideshow of Megan's parents parents through the years playing on a screen, a string quartet in the corner, open bar, fancy catering. Megan was already there, saw me walk in. Her face was pale. Makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. She rushed over. We need to talk. Now. Outside. Later, I said. It's your parents' night. Let's celebrate them first. Alex, you can't just. Megan, I smiled, took her hand. Not here, not now. After the toast, she searched my face, looking for anger, seeing only calm. It confused her, made her uncertain. Fine, she said. After. Dinner was served at 7:15. Salmon and filet mignon. I sat next to Megan at the family table, made small talk with her brothers, complimented her mother's dress, shook her father's hand. They had no idea, none of them. At 8 p.m., the speeches started. Megan's older brother went first, told funny stories about growing up. Her sister went next, got tearful talking about their parents' example of lasting love. Then, it was Megan's turn. She stood up, clinked her glass with a fork. The room went quiet. To my parents, she began. Her voice shook slightly. She glanced at me. I smiled encouragingly. To 40 years of love and trust and partnership, you taught us what commitment looks like, what it means to choose each other every single day, to build a life together based on honesty and respect. And I stood up next to her. The room shifted. People looked confused. This wasn't planned. Actually, I said, I have something I'd like to share too. Megan's face went white. Alex, what are you? I learned something really interesting last month. I pulled out my phone. At an apartment viewing. You remember that, right, babe? The loft downtown? With Klaus? Her hand went to her throat. Not here. Not now. See? Megan thought I didn't speak German. I opened the voice recording app on my phone, connected it to the hall's speaker system. I'd asked the AV guy earlier, said I had a special anniversary message for Megan's parents. He'd set it up without question. But my grandmother was from Munich. I spent every summer there as a kid. I looked around the room, at her family, at her parents. So when Megan started speaking German with Klaus, I understood every word. Megan grabbed my arm. Don't, please. I pressed play. Klaus's voice filled the hall. Ist immer so still. Then Megan's voice, clear as crystal. Versteht nichts. Ist nicht besonders klug. The room was dead silent. Some people looked confused. Her brother's wife, German immigrant, covered her mouth. The recording continued. Und das Geld, alles auf meinem Namen. Unterschreibt, was ich ihm sage. Vertraut mir vollständig. Megan was crying now, trying to grab my phone. I held it away from her. The recording played Klaus, asking if she felt bad. Then Megan's laugh, warum sollte ich? I stopped the recording. For those of you who don't speak German, I said, looking directly at her parents. My wife just called me stupid, said I don't understand anything. Then, she explained how she's been stealing money from me for months, moving it into accounts with only her name, using it to buy an apartment with only her name. She said I sign whatever she tells me to because I trust her completely. You could hear a pin drop. I pulled out the folder I'd brought. Marcus's forensic accounting report, bank statements, account opening documents, wire transfer records, the apartment purchase agreement with only Megan's name, tax returns with falsified deductions. I walked to her parents' table, set it down in front of them. $217,000. I said, that's what 8 years of trust looks like. That's what your daughter stole from me while I was working 60-hour weeks, thinking we were building a life together. Megan's mother picked up the papers with shaking hands. Her father's champagne glass had frozen halfway to his lips. Her brother Mike stood up. Megan, what the fuck? It's not, she started. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I said, looked at her one last time. Ich bin nicht so dumm wie du dachtest. I'm not as stupid as you thought. The room erupted. Her mother was crying. Her father was flipping through papers, his face getting redder by the second. Her siblings were all talking at once. Megan was sobbing, trying to explain, words tumbling over each other. I walked toward the door. Her father's voice stopped me. Where are you going? I turned back. Home, to my house. The one with both our names on the mortgage. The one she hasn't managed to steal yet. And Megan? Megan has a court date Monday morning. She can explain to a judge why she committed fraud and tax evasion. She can explain to the IRS why she falsified charitable donations on our joint tax returns. She can explain to her employer why she's been using company conferences as cover for an affair. Megan's head snapped up. How did you? The Heathman Hotel in Portland. You stayed there 18 times in the past year. Always the same weekend Klaus was in town. I have the credit card statements. The hotel has security footage. Your husband is an engineer, Megan. We're good at finding evidence. Her father stood up, walked over to her. His face was granite. Megan, sit down. We need to talk. Those were the last words I heard as I walked out of that hall. In the parking lot, Ryan was waiting in his car. I got in. He looked at me. How do you feel? I thought about it. Empty, but clean. He drove me to his place. I stayed there that night. Didn't sleep much. Kept replaying it in my head. Her face. Her family's faces. The moment everyone realized who she really was. Sunday morning, Patricia called. I heard what happened. Creative, risky, but effective. What now? Now we proceed with the divorce. Given the fraud and the public spectacle, I doubt she'll contest anything. We'll get a favorable settlement. You'll get your money back. She'll be lucky if she doesn't face criminal charges. Will she? That's up to the DA. I've forwarded all evidence to the prosecutor's office. Tax fraud is federal, though. The IRS will definitely be interested. Monday morning, I went back to work, told my boss I'd been dealing with a family emergency. He didn't ask questions. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Alex, Megan's voice, hoarse, broken. Please, we need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made terrible choices. I can fix this. You called me stupid. You stole over $200,000 from me. You committed fraud. You had an affair. What exactly are you going to fix, Megan? I didn't mean the German thing. I was just Klaus was being pushy, and I was showing off, trying to. You weren't showing off. You were being honest. You thought I was too stupid to catch you, and you almost got away with it. The money was supposed to be an investment for both of us. The apartment was going to be yours. Only your name. Only your investment. Paid for with my money. Silence. Then, what do you want from me? Nothing. I want nothing from you. I want my money back. I want a divorce. I want you out of my life. That's it. I'll pay you back. Every penny. Just drop the charges. I haven't filed any charges. That's between you and the prosecutor. But if they ask me to testify, I will. My family won't talk to me. My mom won't answer my calls. My dad told me I'm not welcome at their house. My brother called me a con artist. Good. How can you be so cold? 8 years, Megan. 8 years I trusted you, loved you, built a life with you, and you threw it all away for what? An apartment? An affair? Some cash? I was unhappy. You were always working. You never paid attention to me. So you stole from me. I was going to tell you eventually. You called me stupid. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't showing off. That's what you really think of me. She started crying. I hung up. The divorce took 4 months. Megan didn't contest anything. She couldn't. The evidence was overwhelming. Patricia got me everything. Half the house, equity, all my retirement accounts, repayment of the $217,000 she'd stolen, plus interest and legal fees. Total settlement $384,000. The apartment sale fell through. Klaus, apparently, wanted nothing to do with the situation once it became a legal mess. Megan lost her down payment, my $180,000 in the cancellation penalties. She also lost her job. Her company found out about the falsified business expenses and terminated her for cause. No severance, no references. The IRS audited our last 3 years of returns. She had to pay back $47,000 in fraudulent deductions plus penalties and interest. Total bill, $73,000. The credit cards she'd maxed out, all her responsibility in the divorce. She filed for bankruptcy 6 months later. I heard through Ryan, who heard through Megan's brother, that she moved back in with her parents temporarily. They made her go to therapy, made her get a job at a call center, made her pay rent. Klaus, apparently, had been married the whole time. His wife found out about the affair. She divorced him and took half of everything, including his business. As for me, I stayed in Seattle, kept my job, kept the house, dated a little but nothing serious, spent time with Ryan and his family, went to therapy myself. Dr. Sarah Chen, trauma specialist, helped me process the betrayal and rebuild my ability to trust. A year later, I met someone, Jennifer. She's a high school German teacher. We met at a coffee shop when I overheard her speaking German on the phone to her mother in Stuttgart. When she found out I spoke German, she laughed. How good is it? Good enough to understand when someone's calling me stupid. I told her the whole story. She listened without judgment. At the end, she said, anyone who calls their partner stupid isn't worth the partnership. We've been together 8 months now. It's different, slower, more careful, but also more honest. We talk about money, about expectations, about fears. Last week, she asked me about marriage, if I'd ever want to try again. Maybe, I said, someday, with the right person. What would make them the right person? Someone who thinks I'm smart enough to deserve the truth. She smiled, took my hand, said something in German. Was bedeutet das? I asked. What does that mean? Du bist mehr als klug genug, she said. Du bist bemerkenswert. You're more than smart enough. You're remarkable. I learned something in that apartment with Klaus and Megan. I learned that the worst betrayals don't come from strangers. They come from the people who know you well enough to know exactly how to destroy you. But I also learned that underestimating someone is a gift, because the moment they realize you're not who they thought you were, the game is over, and you've already won.